Well, quite a different picture than yesterday, and I can't think of a better way to end the week and kick off the month than seeing some clear skies and temperatures back up into those 80s, nice and warm for the rest of the weekend. Get out there and make sure you take advantage of it as we're getting ready to see sunset move in closer and closer towards 7 p.m. Right now, we're looking at the temperature change over the last 24 hours. Same thing, different picture from those 50s yesterday down into those 30s, then a good 40-degree run all the way into those upper 70s. Don't think it's going to get much hotter than that, and if it does, it'll just skirt those 80s. Right now, 78 in San Angelo. Everybody else joining us in a combination of those upper 70s, some places hitting the 80s. Now we're looking at the temperature change, that huge 40-degree change over the last 24 hours, even across the entire region. 82 down there in Junction. And again, we're looking for the coldest spot, 75 there in Sterling City, still seeing a good 7-degree spread across the entire Concho Valley. A little bit warmer, wanted to see a little bit wider of a temperature range, but we could see it reach that as we make our way into another beautiful Friday night for a great weekend. Right now, humidity points down there in those upper 30s, well above the freezing point, and we're seeing that dry air really move in behind it. It's going to be sticking with us for a couple days as we continue to follow that upper level pattern as that low pressure off to the west really kind of takes its time getting here. We're going to see just how cold this storm actually makes it down here across the Concho Valley, because it's really going to stay more towards the north. Again, we're seeing just how much of a river is really slamming into the west coast. They've already seen about 9 feet of snow with more on the way. Right now, the moisture exchange really showing us how that delineation of dry air is going to hang out along the Great Plains, if not the Corn Belt, and we're going to continue to see a little bit of that dry line setup hang out here across the eastern part of Texas. We're well along the Concho Valley. Right now, we're looking at the satellite, and we're seeing this monster storm still take aim at Mississippi, really making its way into Alabama, while we're seeing a little bit of rain make its way up the east coast. That high pressure really taking over the central United States, and we're really keeping our eye on this low pressure, getting a good idea of how much snow, how cold things are with it, and how much we're expected to see in the Concho Valley. But in the back of my mind, I always have that fire on the Panhandle really in the back of my mind. We're going to continue to see that high, dry air really hang out in that region. That includes here in the Concho Valley as we continue to keep a close eye on this snowstorm really barrel across Wyoming, Utah, hang out there in Colorado. You can see the return of some of that moisture. That's that prefrontal warming really pulling things up from the south. That's about by the middle of next week, and we're going to continue to see those 80s really keeping those conditions pretty dry across the entire region. So tonight, dropping back down into those very comfortable 40s, going to be pretty calm and pretty clear. Then tomorrow, right back up into those 80s for a good 40-degree run, and that's where we're going to stay for the rest of the weekend, well into next week. So a pretty good start to the first week of March as we continue to hang out in those 80s. But as that low pressure really takes its time to get here, we're going to continue to see that gradually cooling off. Not much of a stark difference as we saw last week as we gently make our way back down into those lower 70s. And then as the end of the week rolls around, that's when we'll see the biggest drop in those temperatures. While those lows are hanging out in those 50s and those 40s, we'll see just how average these temperatures are for this month. Stay tuned. We'll have more after the break. You're watching KSAN News at 5.